angels, it's Hailey Reese, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so beyond grateful that you are here, and I do hope that you are having an absolutely fantastic, beautiful, wonderful, all the great things, morning, afternoon, or night, whatever it is for you when this video finally reaches you. Today's video is an eerie one, and in a way, it's almost like coming full circle for me, because back at our third year of 31 Days of Halloween, we dove into the Midnight Man, and more specifically, the Midnight Man ritual. And today, we are reopening that back up and diving back into the Midnight Man. But more specifically, a horrifying Midnight Man experience with photos. It's chilling. The picture is so clearly painted. And when you guys asked for it, I felt like we had to explore it. Now again, it's been years since we first dove into the Midnight Man paranormal game. Now, if you've been on my channel, you guys would know how I feel about paranormal games. They may be by definition a game that is paranormal, but it is far from the fun type of games that we were all raised on. These games open doors that sometimes cannot be closed, and the things that happen afterwards are that out of a horror film. Today's video is simply for us to dive into, react, and share in this individual's experience. Of course, all credit goes to the writer of the experience, and I will have that linked down below for you. Now, I will show you the photos that were attached to the experience, but with that said, should you want to reopen them back up, maybe enhance them on your own computer and whatnot, again, all links will be down below for you. But I am going to do my best to bring it to you guys here and dive into this, because this is wild. Okay, so a while ago, a friend of mine sent me an intriguing URL saying, I suggest we do this sometime. Of course, I'm talking about the Midnight Game. The gist of it is you write your name on a piece of paper, put your blood on it, light a big candle, and then put them both in front of your wooden door. As the time nears midnight, you start to knock on your own front door 22 times. The 22nd knock has to be at the stroke of midnight, and then you blow the candle out and relight it. Doing this is said to invite the Midnight Man into your home, where you must walk around in complete darkness, with the candle as your only source of light. If the candle goes out, it means he's near, and you have to light your candle within 10 seconds, or make a circle around yourself in salt and stay inside of it. Other things that can happen are the room can go cold, you can hear a whisper, or even see a humanoid figure as you're walking around. This continues until 3:33 a.m., whereupon, if you've done everything correctly, you have won the game. If you lose, there are threats of insanity or even death. A couple other things to mention. I've seen renditions of this where it said the Midnight Man will make you hallucinate your fears. From the experience I had from midnight to 3:33, I either think that part was not super integral to my experience, or I didn't mess it up bad enough to even hallucinate. Also, it's taken as direct provocation to try to chide the Midnight Man. I'll explain my colossal F up a bit further down. I, like most generic Redditors, don't have any belief in the supernatural, and I like to test little things like this as a way of amusing myself. And until this weekend, I've had zero respect for anything of this sort. I come into this sub to read creepypasta, but I'd never had a genuine paranormal experience to the best of my knowledge. Just this past Friday, I remembered suddenly when my friend told me about the midnight game. Since I wouldn't have an opportune time to do this otherwise, as I live with my mother and she'd been spending the night often at my grandparents' house to help care for them, I call up Ryan and ask if he's still in, which he replies, and this is verbatim, "Shit, effing yeah." I've been waiting for this call. Splendid. My friend, who we'll call Ryan, because his name is Ryan, picks up 2 giant Morton salt shakers on the way over around 10. All right, Ryan is basically the same as me. Smartass-ish about things like this, but still a little apprehensive of the dark. And as he admitted when he told me about it, he would never do this on his own, but would totally if someone else was with him. So, before I continue, I figure I'll give you pictures of my house interior so you can have a frame of reference. I took them just now, and I guess I'll be spoiling the account of what happened with one of these photos. So here and at this point, he attaches an album of exactly that, photos of his house with descriptions of the rooms. Now, I will put that on the screen here for you guys now. Feel free to pause to kind of look at them all at your own pace. And again, I will have everything linked for you down below if you want to kind of take a look at it all separate from this video. But I did find that really interesting and it added a lot. If you don't want to look or don't care to, that's fine for the most part, but I have to draw your attention to the 2 photos of my back room. While that room was definitely a mess before we played the game, it wasn't nearly like that. The back room, called a Florida room, is basically a quarter of the house's square footage, so we naturally wanted to include it so we would have as much space as possible. 11:55 p.m. Ryan and I are getting our materials ready. Ryan suggests that we throw the fuse, since turning on the lights means losing the game. But I don't really feel comfortable with fumbling around with all of that. We just need to be disciplined about not turning anything with power on, and we'll be good. 11:59 p.m. to 12 a.m. We execute our name cards really well, and I end up doing the honor of the knocking. Ryan helps me synchronize the knocks, and I get it right on the dot. We blow out our candles and re-enter, lighting them again. As soon as we both have things lit, Ryan lets out a "ooh," and we both laugh and relax a little. 12 a.m. to 12:45 a.m. You're supposed to move around or the midnight man is able to find you or something. So we creep slowly, tracing the wall and staying in the more open rooms. We start to go towards my bedroom, but Ryan says he feels it'll be too cramped. Both our candles are doing just fine, and as Florida nights are this time of year, the house is as hot as expected. As we walk around, we talk and we joke a little bit, though we were definitely both nervous to some degree. 12:45 a.m. to 12:55 a.m. Ryan asked me if we're allowed to eat during the game. I actually hadn't a clue and told him to go for it if he can avoid opening the fridge, since I'm sure the light would disqualify us from the game. I actually don't know what he ate because I forgot to ask and was distracted by what he said when he came back into the living room. With a full mouth, he says, "When is the night man supposed to arrive?" And God damn it, I wish he hadn't said that, because I reply with, "Nightman, that's," and in a moment I regret more than anything, I began to sing. Ryan chimes in an instant, both of us are singing "The Nightman Cometh" from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Doing that was the single most stupidest thing I did, because the night was not the same from that point on. 12:58 a.m. The only reason I remember the exact time is I was looking at my watch by candlelight when it just went out. I didn't think I could panic like such a little girl, and I quickly relight it in more than 5 seconds. "That was close," I say, or something like that, and Ryan looks at me silently. He makes a weird face, and I ask him, "What's wrong?" "What did you say?" he asks. And I repeat myself. I said, "That was close." And he waves his hand and says, No, I heard that." "What did you start to say right after that?" Apparently, he had heard me whispering words immediately after following what I'd said. We move over towards the bathroom and the hallway pretty quickly. 1:25 a.m. We've been walking around slowly, but with a bit more purpose than before. No more joking around, not much talking between us except necessary communication. We both feel a little more humbled than we had when we first started. We both start to go from my bedroom and towards my mom's room, and that's when I look to the right and into the hallway bathroom. There is a figure standing in the tub, part obscured from the drawn curtain. Our candles remain intact, so I grab Ryan's shirt firmly and speed walk toward the kitchen. Ryan didn't even ask me what was going on. Once we got to the far end of the kitchen, I asked if he saw it too. He did. At this point, Ryan asks me if there's anything in the rules that let you opt out of the game. He really didn't want to continue, but he was too scared to turn on the lights and find out what happened from there. So he continued with me. I don't know what I would have done if he left. 1:40 a.m. We're staying in the kitchen and garage area, going back and forth between them, and I'm basically holding my breath whenever we go through a threshold, since I just expect to see him there. Things seem to calm down a bit. Up until around this time, I realized something horrible. "Ryan," I ask, "where's the salt you brought?" I didn't ask him because I didn't know, but because I didn't want to have to say it. He answered just as I thought he would. "Your bedroom." We talk it over for a minute and basically conclude that we absolutely need the salt if things go wrong. We start toward my room. 1:45 a.m. Even though the kitchen and the bedroom are barely more than a 10-second sprint from one another, we don't dare do that. Any quick motion is basically just begging for your candle to go out, and I can't help but feel like running will provoke him. We inch our way towards the hall and finally have the same view of the bedroom that we had prior. I make myself look because I can't not. If he's still there, I want to know. And nothing. I just see a dark bathroom, but nothing but that. I think that was the most relieved I had felt all game, which is stupid, because as other players have mentioned, it seems like optimism is enough to draw him to you. I walk through the hallway and into my bedroom, and I can see the giant cylinders of salt sitting right in front of my computer monitor. As soon as I grab one of them, the room gets cold. Of all the rooms in my house that never gets cold, it's my bedroom. My bedroom is the hottest in the house due to bad insulation, and yet I suddenly have the urge to shiver. 1:47 a.m. Two things immediately catch my eye. A, I don't see Ryan, who had been behind me up until the hallway to the bedroom. I do, however, see the glow of his candle coming from around the corner. I take a moment to wonder why he didn't come to help me, since I only have one free hand due to the other grasping a candle. And I get my answer. B, the subtlest, most disturbing bob of a head to my left, right over my bed. I swear to you all there was a figure just sitting in the middle of my bed, and his head had just moved. Between the cold, the lack of Ryan near me, and now this man who is slightly perched on my bed, I lose it. I run straight out the door, my candle miraculously staying lit, but I drop the salt shaker that I'd had in my armpit, and I emerge with only one of them. I expect Ryan to get mad at me, but I round the corner, and his eyes are so wide that I become startled again. Go, 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 he says right before his candle goes out. I feel awful for this, but I keep booking it back to the kitchen, turning around as soon as candlelight reappears from behind. I don't know how long it took him, but it definitely didn't exceed 10 seconds. I try to apologize to him, and he tells me that in all honesty, he'd have done the same. 1:50 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. We decide to basically avoid the east part of the house since both times of seeing him involved him in my bathroom or bedroom, and the living room was where my candle had gone out the first time. We also discussed the salt shaker situation, coming to the mutual decision that if one of our candles fails, the person will circle themselves and give the shaker to the other person to continue on. At this point, that happening is my biggest fear. For Ryan's candle to go out, him to have to plant himself in the house, and me to have to go traversing on my own for the rest of it. Even though we had a 40-minute period of absolutely nothing, there wasn't a single ounce of relief to come with each passing minute. Relief felt like weakness to me, and weakness felt like something the Midnight Man would see. 2:30 a.m. to 2:40 a.m. We decided to go into the Florida room for the first time all night. It extends so long across the house that I feel there are many chances to see him just lurking, but I feel like staying in the kitchen and garage and dining area is going to do us in, so we enter. We have a tiny bit of light coming through the terraced windows from streetlights on the avenue next to ours, but it is barely aglow. The room is still very, very much dark, and we do the only thing we could think of: pace up and down it slowly, hoping that this last hour will go well. 2:45 a.m. If you looked at the pictures, you'd see that there's a futon at one end of the room. Ryan and I sat to rest on it for just a few minutes, since we'd basically been on our feet since midnight. Like an idiot, I let myself get hopeful at what time it was, how we would be done with this nonsense in a really short period, and how we survived in the "he's right there." I look up and see the blinds part just a smidgen, and before I even look up and see the darkened figure, I get off the bed and dart straight ahead. I run to about halfway through the room, and in the most terrifying second of my whole life, something comes crashing down on me. My overactive imagination can only assume one thing: the Midnight Man materialized through the glass slider and pounced on me like a hunter. But after a second or two, I realize that's what's on me is flat and scratchy. Ryan shouts out from behind. At first, I assume it's because he saw me get hit by the chunk of ceiling that had just swiped the side of my head. But no, his candle had gone out again. Still holding mine, I turn, a great deal of pain still on my mind, to see him booking it toward me. "Light your candle," I yell, but he doesn't respond to that. I notice now that he isn't even holding his candle anymore, but the salt shaker. He does something that I'd never even thought of. He starts to pour salt around the both of us. a boundary that seems to connect just fine, and it's absolutely huge. Even though I have a lit candle, I'm inside of it with him, and his face looks absolutely horrified. I have a brief terror of, now I have to go play by myself for the rest of the night, which is followed by an immediate and sudden realization. No, I don't. And I blow out my candle. 2:50 a.m. to 3:33 a.m. Oh Christ, I almost don't even want to talk about this part. The first thing my mind conceives upon blowing out the candle is that I made a really stupid decision. This is followed by reminding myself that I'm already in the salt circle, and Ryan even says to me, good, I'm really glad you did that. The two of us are just sitting on this disgusting floor, the salt border looking more like an acorn than a circle, but there aren't any gaps. We sit and there is nothing but complete silence. My pupils are still getting cozy with the idea of dilating after all that candle time, but I swear I'm seeing movement over on the futon where we have been. I don't ask Ryan to turn and look with me. I just want it to end. Throughout the nearly 3/4 hour we'd spent in that cramped salt acorn, we both got chills at completely separate times. I heard a whisper, no, like a mantra for about 30 seconds, and when I look at Ryan to comfort him, I'm horrified to see that he isn't the one saying it. By the time the watch hit 3:33, we hadn't moved. We didn't leave the thing until at least 3:40, both slowly and silently. We got up and turned on every light in the house. The afterword of this whole experience, I went to the bathroom to see what kind of mark that ceiling piece had left. As you could see, the piece of ceiling that fell was clearly part of an already deteriorating room. The rest of the ceiling had fallen last summer, but there was no activity back there since. The fact that another large chunk would just fall as we were playing the midnight game right after seeing him and right as I'm underneath it is staggeringly horrible. It's been a few days, so it isn't nearly as bad as it was, but this is the small gash that I was left with. And I will put the image up on the screen here where you can see. I have had horrible nightmares the past 2 nights. Horrible. People I know in places from my childhood, they'll be talking to me normally and calmly, and then suddenly their eyes are pupilless and their tongue is wagging, almost as absurdly creepy as the original Evil Dead, only realistic in a way that I can't and will not describe. None of my dreams have involved the Midnight Man, but I can't help but feel like I lost. We shouldn't have shared the same salt circle because that was never verified as workable in the rules. I shouldn't have blown out my candle myself even if I was in the circle. The circle was, as said, barely a circle. How the hell have past players managed to do a circle in the dark? I don't know if I'm being tormented or if I'm just paranoid. Ryan and I spoke the other day and he had a nightmare as well, but his had to do with drowning and being resurrected and then drowning again. I haven't spoken to him yet today, so I don't know if he had another bad dream tonight. Update. I've taken melatonin and I'm getting really sleepy. I'm really not sure what to expect. I know that I'm scared and I'm glad that I was able to at least share all of this with you guys. I should be good to update in the morning. Thanks all. I'm feeling as hopeful as one can be in this situation. Update 2. Hey all, sorry I didn't reply yesterday. I was out and doing things with family, so I hadn't had a chance to tend to this, and I kinda didn't want to. The night of the date I posted this, I had another nightmare, and it was probably the worst one yet. No different from how I described the other nightmares, but I felt more scared than ever once I'd woken up. After spending all day coping with it and talking to a few of my closest friends, I went to bed last night and didn't have any nightmare. I don't know for sure that it's all over, but simply not having a nightmare last night has me thinking that maybe I'm safe now. I want to thank each and every person who commented and read this. I don't know what I'd have done if I had bottled it up all weekend. That experience is from 11 years ago, and from what I can tell, there hasn't been any sort of significant, substantial update, which leads me to wonder what happened in the aftermath of playing the Midnight Man game or the Midnight Man ritual, and what occurred that night. I mean, they did see the Midnight Man, and they didn't play 100% correctly. So could they have formed a lifelong attachment? Or could things have gotten a lot worse? I would love to know what you guys think. Well, you guys, that is yet another terrifying experience with the Midnight Man and the Midnight Man ritual. What do you guys think of this? First and foremost, any paranormal game can open the door to the unknown. And when you do so, it is just that. It is unknown as far as what is answering on the other side. But beyond that, any paranormal game that requires your blood is a lot more dangerous than you could ever comprehend. Well, you guys, that is it for today's video. I do hope that you really enjoyed it. I enjoyed diving into it with you guys. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed, but you enjoy my content, I would absolutely love it if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button. I am uploading every single day, so I definitely do not want you to miss a video. And please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness. And until tomorrow, I love you. Bye, guys.